Well, that's enough of that crap. Welcome to Naked Zombie Paranormal Radio with your hosts, Brad Scott and Woodsy.
It is the 13th of June and this is Naked Zombie Paranormal Radio. I'm your host, Brad Scott, and joining me tonight across the desk in our cardboard box is Mr. Peter Wadsworth.
The view is fantastic from here, don't you think so?
Yes, I actually cut out holes today for windows, mate. Do you like it?
It's just like work. In the prison cell, I see the slip, just see the beams of sun coming in. But
I know, but
now it's moonlight.
It's moonlight, it is.
Yes.
Anyway, listen, we have a fantastic show tonight. Tonight we have the guys from Ghost Crew.
Cool.
Ghost Crew, okay. Well, before we get into them and get them on, we've got Rob Kerr waiting on the line now.
Right.
But before we get into that, I'd just like to make an announcement.
Why don't you just say firstly?
Firstly, we're going to make an announcement.
Sounds better.
Sounds good. Okay.
Good. Okay.
Message from Adelaide Spirit Chasers. Now, they're actually holding a tour of the Adelaide Jail, right, coming up soon. So they need 4 more people, and it's $26 per person to go. So if you jump on Facebook and look for the Adelaide Spirit Chasers.
How do they know that those people aren't already there? I mean, if they're spirits, they could already be there, and they just collect the money at the gate.
Anyway, back to Adelaide. Funny man, comedian. Anyway, guys, so we got Adelaide Spirit Chasers looking for 4 more people to join the tour. If you would like to contact David Size on 041409 1173 just to confirm that you'll be able to go. So when you've got the people up, they're going to book it in for the tour of the Adelaide Jail. Worthwhile.
Is there a maximum number?
Yes, they need 4 more people. So
okay,
this
so
is
4 and no more, so you can't organise a party. And
no,
go.
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, just 4 more people they need for the tour. So please jump on Facebook and look for Adelaide Spirit Chasers. And
that sounds like a lot of fun.
It is going to be a lot of fun. So that's for the guys. I'll just get that out of the way quickly. And we are joined by Mr. Rob Kerr from Ghost Crew, based in Sydney, Australia. Now, a bit of a
Ghost
story.
with a Z.
Ghost with a Z. So it's GHOZTCREW. Now, just a bit of a start up with the boys before we get Rob on. Look, they started filming about 16 months ago, and since then they've attracted a lot of media attention. You know, with Channel 7, Today Tonight, the Daily Telegraph, Win News, That's Life magazine. And they're doing really well because they're filming some really, really cool locations around Australia. And they're getting quite a big name for themselves.
That's very good.
So joining us right now is Mr. Rob Kerr. Thanks for joining us, Rob.
That's all right, no problems, Brad.
Excellent. Now, Rob, mate, can you tell us a bit of a story? How did Ghost Crew come about?
Ghost Crew came about 16 months ago. I got in contact with a couple of guys and we decided to sort of put something together because we all had interest in the paranormal. So I contacted Don and Josh, who both had a productions background as well. And I contacted them because we wanted to put something together that was a little bit different to, you know, what a lot of people in Australia have seen already. So it sort of happened from there, and it's sort of been a bit of a roller coaster ride for the past 16 months, but it's all coming together really well. So we're doing really well. We've got some great locations that we've done, and we've got some great locations that are coming up as well. So it came about that way.
How have you made it different to what other people have done in the past?
I'm sorry?
How do you think you've made it different to what other people have done in the past?
Just on, mainly for Australian stuff, just looking at some of the stuff that people have done in Australia before, we wanted to make it a little bit more entertaining. You have a lot of groups that sort of do investigations and, you know, go to these places, but we're sort of looking at it from a production point of view, trying to make something that, you know, looks really good on camera, that also has the evidence to back it up as well. So, you know, we want people to sit down and watch it and actually feel like, you know, they're there. So that's the main thing that we're after. You know, if people can sit down and have a look and sort of get the feeling that they're on the investigation with us at the same time, and, you know, can see what we can see and what we can hear, you know, that's what we're after, and that's what we want people to sit down and enjoy.
That's excellent, Rob. Now, Rob, your personal experiences, I mean, now this would have started from somewhere. I mean, everyone who gets into this field has had some sort of event or interest that sparked this off for them. What was your first recollection as a young fella growing up that sort of made you want to do this?
I've always had an interest in the paranormal, not so much ghosts, and that sort of thing, but growing up, shows that I used to like watching, were, Greatest Mysteries and, stuff like that. And it was back in sort of 2003 that, my interest really peaked in investigations with ghosts and that sort of thing. One of my friends sort of asked me to come along with him to do a tour of the quarantine station at North Head Manly. And it sort of peaked from there. I was a bit sceptical at first. My mind was open to any possibilities, but I was a bit sceptical, as most people would. But I wanted to go along and see for myself, and try and experience something for myself. And funnily enough, the night that we went, there was some stuff that ended up happening that I couldn't explain.
Oh, can you actually tell us what actually happened? What are these events? And that's what people are really interested in knowing about is the events that took place in your early days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these are the type of things that, as an investigator yourself, and foremost before anything,
The raw stuff.
the raw stuff that people, the nuts and bolts of, well, I had this experience when and this is what led me to this road in life, if you know what I mean. So, was there any particular moment there that caused your interest to really take off?
Yeah, well, there was. I mean, that night on the quarantine station tour, there was a few things that I couldn't explain. We're in a place in the quarantine station, and it's the second-class dining hall. And back in those days, it was divided up into classes. So, you're talking late 1800s, early 1900s. And we were on the tour, the National Parks and Wildlife History Unit, but we're in the second-class dining hall, and the whole group was together inside the actual hall itself. And around the outside of the hall, there was a big wooden veranda that ran around the outside. So anyway, we're sitting there listening to the tour guide, and he's explaining the history of the place and, various things and, what ghosts have been seen there and stuff like that. And as we were listening to him, I've noticed some footsteps walking around the outside of walking around the veranda on the outside. And it sounded like women's high heels. And I turned to my friend and I said, "Can you hear that?" And he said, "Yeah, I can hear it." And the whole group actually stopped, and the tour guide stopped talking. We both ran outside as soon as we heard it from where the footsteps were coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And there was absolutely no one there. I mean, there was nothing. The place was, totally empty on the outside because everyone was inside.
So it's all classic of the footsteps.
Footsteps. It was totally clear, and there was no explanation. There was no logical explanation for it. And that night, also in that same second-class dining hall, it was had a kitchen that goes down a flight of stairs, and it's like a basement kitchen area. And we both hung back from the group after they went upstairs, and we were in separate locations in the second-class kitchen area.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt something brush past me, and I was in this place by myself. I felt something actually literally brush past my clothes, as if you're walking past someone in the crowd. And I shouted out, "Was that you?" to my mate, and he said no, and he was about 15 metres away on the other side of the room. So that's what piqued my interest in it, and after that, I thought, there's something definitely to this.
So that's how it all started for you, mate, is that you go on a tour and you come across certain paranormal events that leave you questioning there could be something else out there. I mean, I think that happens for a lot of people. Now, we're just going to touch base on the TV series because that's what a lot of people are interested in. Now, you've got some stuff on YouTube at the moment, right? And of some of the events. Now, I have watched them, and I really do enjoy them. There's this one part where one of your colleagues goes a bit odd. I think we've talked about this in the past, where he goes very quiet.
Like you.
Yeah, I'm very quiet.
Yeah. And odd.
Odd. Yeah, I'm quiet and odd. Yeah, right.
Quietly odd.
But quietly odd. But there's one section there where your colleague in the filming process actually goes very quiet, and it's almost like there's sort of another entity or something else that's taken over him. Could you give us a bit of a feedback on what happened there that night?
Was that at Monte Cristo?
Monte Cristo, mate. That's yeah, that's right.
Can you just? I don't know what Monte Cristo is. Can you just explain what it was and where it is?
Yeah, well, really essentially, we were filming at Monte Cristo over the course of 3 days, and we were getting a lot of good stuff, and a lot of stuff on audio in particular that was really good. But anyway, we were up in this room on the second level of Monte Cristo, and the original owners of the place were a couple called Mr. and Mrs. Crawley. And the room that we were in, where this event took place, was the room where Mr. Crawley died. And he actually died in the sort of, not the bed where the original bed, but there was a bed there that had been replaced, and had this other one in there.
Yep.
And anyway, I was sitting on the bed, and Josh was sort of standing up to start with, and he was feeling a bit faint, so he sat down next to me. And Don was filming us, and there was sort of something that came in the room, a very cool sort of breeze or gust of air, which shouldn't have been there because all the windows were closed, everything was, secure. And Josh sort of started to feel a bit faint and sort of rocking backwards and forwards. And at that time, Don noticed something moving behind me, and when we actually went back and reviewed the video of the footage that we got, there was a little ball of light floating next to my head, which on the video that you're talking about, we've cut it down, it lasts for about 30 seconds, but it was there for literally about a minute and a half to 2 minutes, and it sort of went into the back of me, it sort of went into the back of my neck, and I felt it go literally inside my body. My lungs went cold, it was like I was breathing, cold air in, and then it's come out from my neck, and then it's gone and flicked Josh, and as it's gone past him, it's sort of, he felt something flicking on the ear, and that's, you see that this thing corresponds with what happened. But interestingly enough, that night at Monte Cristo, with the last night we were filming, I think for Josh in particular, his father passed away that morning as we were filming at that exact time. So definitely some significance there, and I think there's something there that you have to look at and go, yeah, there could be a possibility of something going on there for sure.
So people can actually jump onto YouTube and see this, can't they?
That's right. Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's also on the Ghost Crew website.
Actually, while we're here, you want to give us the website for Ghost Crew, mate? We're going to plug this all night long, so you want to read out the actual web address for us so people can jump on?
Yeah, that's www.ghostcrew.com.au.
See, he has no you.
Yeah.
What about you?
Stop it. You find this goes on all night as well. Now, mate, the whole genre of the paranormal. Now, you've been doing it for a little while now. Have you noticed much change within the field within Australia? And I guess this is more for people in the country at the moment. And there are a lot of groups out there now, especially in Oz, of course, and around the world. Have you noticed more people sort of tuning into it? More people are sort of accepting the paranormal in Australia now? Or do you think we're still a fair way off?
I think that these days people are a lot more open to it than what they were maybe 10 years ago. I've noticed in particular that people are sort of catching on to it a lot more than what they used to. I think shows from overseas pick people's interest in this sort of stuff. Shows like Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters and that sort of thing. A lot of people, have Foxtel these days, and there's a lot of those shows on Foxtel, so people watch it, and of course, the curiosity is going to be picked a little bit more by watching them. But I think within Australia, definitely, there's a lot more interest in it, for sure, especially over the last 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that people are sort of willing to, they're sort of willing to, admit or believe in the possibilities of something else being there, or believe in the possibilities of life after death. And I think that definitely, it's one of those things that it's there. People are beginning to believe themselves that it's there, and it's opening up the possibilities in Australia a lot more as well.
It's almost becoming a status symbol to have a ghost or a haunting in your property or your house. It's taken sort of that from taking it, trying to get rid of it, to welcoming it and making money out of it.
Do you think there's much? Do you think with when you go into places nowadays, and I think this is what Wadsy was getting to, is when you're called into an investigation, and I know myself when I get called in to do investigations, it's you have to look past. So are you getting, okay, there's a ghost in my house, hook or by crook, if you know what I mean? Because they might have seen something on TV and they misunderstand the actual environment around them. Could be something simple you've got to break down as logical evidence. Or do you think Australia is pretty spot on when it comes to being paranormal activity in people's houses?
I think that, obviously there is places where people think, there's paranormal activity going on, but you can break it down and you can rationalise it and you can come to some sort of logical explanation for sure. But I do have to say, out of all the places that we've filmed at, and all the places that we've investigated, I would say 95% of the places that we've been, we've had some sort of evidence happen, something to do with the paranormal. And I think that Australia itself, we've got a rich convict history here, and even though it's a relatively new country, we do have a lot of locations that are haunted, and we do have a lot of locations that do have paranormal activity. And especially, some of the places that we've been to, you wouldn't expect to have that much activity. We've actually gotten probably a lot more than the more well-known locations that we've been to. So each time people come to us and say, look, we think we've got something going on here, we listen to it, and then I'll speak to them and we'll sort of break it down and see whether it's worth doing an investigation there or not. But, definitely, for sure, I think that we do have a lot of paranormal activity here in this country, and I think we've only touched on a small part of it as well. There's some of the other places that aren't as well known as some of the bigger locations that have just as much activity going on.
Do you find that, generally, so what you're saying 95% of places you investigated actually show paranormal activity. Now, this is...
Yeah, that's right.
For me personally, I think it's more like 10% of places that I investigated showed paranormal activity. So if I investigate 100 places, there's only a small proportion that do. Do you think it's a different style of paranormal investigating? Because like me and you are chalk and cheese when it comes to the way we do things, which is great because everyone needs to be a bit different. But do you think the premises of places that you investigate, because they're more of a well-known structure, if you know what I mean, or unless you also do the private homes and stuff like that you get called upon. Now, having been known in Australia, as you know yourself, mate, it does make it more, because you already know, right? It does make it easier to get in certain locations. There's no two ways about it because people have actually seen how you work and seen how you operate. You've got people who chase you down the street, so to speak, and follow you who you are and stuff like that. Do you find being ghost crew, and saying there's inverted commas, finds it easier to get to places to investigate? Or do you think, like everyone else, you've got to do the hard yards and ring up and go through the legal aspects and all the other stuff that's involved in this nowadays?
Yeah, definitely. Looking at it from that perspective, definitely it is easier for us to get into locations, especially more well-known locations. And I will be honest with you, we don't do, normally we won't do the average person's house.
Yep.
Or anything like that. Yeah, we will stick to the more well-known mainstream locations.
Yep.
But having said that, we have filmed at a few other places that aren't as well-known, but still have, what we do is we have a look at the history of the place.
Yep.
So before we go in there, normally, actually, all the time, we won't just take it on people's, word of mouth or, what they're telling us as to, what's happening there. If it's something that we think is worth us investigating, we'll go into the history of it, see what's happened there, break it down, and then go from there. And if we think it's worth going in and filming and investigating, that's when we'll take it on. So, yeah, having said what you're saying, you do get a lot of people that think their place is haunted and they think they've got ghosts in there and that sort of stuff. And if you're looking at it from that perspective, yeah, definitely 10% would be a more realistic figure. It is a lot easier for us to get into the more well-known locations, obviously, and they're sort of the ones that we target because, at the end of of the day for us. We're putting together something for production, for television, for film, or whatever you want to call it, and that's the end goal for us. But at the same time, we're trying to promote all this, not just about the investigation, the paranormal activity. It's about the history of the place as well, because we like to document the history of all the places that we go to. And it's about Australian history, not just the paranormal and ghosts, but the history behind the places. And once you get into some of these locations, it's really fascinating to find out about the history of these places. And, right up there with some of the stuff overseas. And, places like Monte Cristo, Homestead at Junee just have a fantastic history. And some of the, the stuff that's happened there and some of the deaths and, the tragedy behind the place is just fascinating. And that's the sort of stuff that we do target. So, for sure, Brad, answering your question, 95, when I said 95%, it would be on the scale of, the more well-known places that we investigate for sure.
Oh, that's good, mate. Yeah, because that's basically part of it. Because the people got to, because we're explaining to people, and there's been a lot of controversy. I can't even pronounce words properly tonight. A lot of stuff that like we see a lot of shows, we see a lot of programs, like and as both investigators ourselves, we know the importance of getting the facts right. I mean, at the end of the day. When you do go into people's places of residence, you got to be so careful. Even if you're going to a homestead or you're going to do a large place, the forethought and the planning is huge, isn't it? There is so much that people don't see behind the camera. That I know that with my own show, it's the amount of work that goes behind the actual show itself that people don't get to see. It's all the planning and the scheduling and everything like that. And we don't have, and I know you guys don't have, a large production crew following you out. You guys are doing it yourselves, aren't you?
That's right. I think the main thing for me and for Josh and Don is if it was down to us, we wouldn't have a large production crew following us around, because I honestly believe that the less people that you have in the investigation, the more you're going to get and the more evidence you're going to get. And we purposely keep it as 3 when we go around and do the investigations because for some reason the number 3 just works well for us. And also, like I said, the less amount of people involved and the less amount of people in one area at the same time tends to trigger a bit more activity. There's no way that I would have 15 or 20 people from a production crew following us around with 2 or 3 cameramen, in each area that we film, because it just detracts from the environment, it detracts from the energy of the place.
Yep, and also the evidence gets contaminated as well.
That's right. Yeah, also the evidence as well. When you have that many people floating around, it's very hard to get evidence confused with something that someone's knocked over or someone making a noise. So
because I know when. Just off topic a little bit, look, I know when, I think it's GHI, Ghost Hunters International, they recently went over to New Zealand and actually did the old prison that I actually did there at Napier. Now, but I also know they had 3 or 4 van loads of people go along, like a production crew, the
food crew,
the whole works and jerks. So it sort of makes you wonder in some ways. Bigger is not necessarily better, but you take the guys from Ghost Adventures, who same thing, have a small crew. Do you do that as well, Rob? Do you go for lockdown and all the rest of it, or do you guys be able to get out if there's a case you need to in a hurry, if you know what I mean, emergency wise?
No, yeah. When we go in, generally it'll be for the full night, so it'll be from, say, it depends what time it gets dark with daylight savings, and then obviously it'll be as soon as it gets dark, and then we won't be finished till about 4 or 5 in the morning. So you're talking probably 10 hours straight filming without any breaks.
Yep.
That's just the way that we like to do it, and that the whole time that we are filming, we just film in complete darkness. We don't have any light, so similar comparisons there to what the guys from Ghost Adventures do.
Yep.
But in terms of the lockdown type thing, that's not really what we do. We don't lock ourselves into the location. But we do
is that more to do with the look? I tend to don't really care about it doesn't matter in my eyes if you investigate the lights on or the lights off. If something's going to happen, it's going to happen. Do you find that when you do investigate in the dark and you're using the IR illuminators and all the rest of it, do you find that they actually help with an investigation, or do you think it's more to do with, well, go lights out type of thing and everything's dark and it gives more of effect, or do you actually think there is a purpose behind that? I'm very curious to see what your view is on it, actually. Because it's been debated amongst groups. You know that yourself, mate. It's been debated against groups all over the world. Lights on, lights off, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's right. So just speaking from our perspective, I think that the lights off thing is better. I think that we can get more evidence when the lights are off, especially through the. I mean, people wonder why people use IR illuminators when they're filming, and it's not specifically just for for the feel and to give it a creepy atmosphere. We do tend to capture a lot of stuff under infrared light. Be it orb activity or something, a shadow, or something moving like that. And I think it does help the atmosphere when it's dark. But I believe that for us, and everyone's got their own styles. You can investigate. When the lights are on as well. But for us, it works for us better when we're filming in the dark because it just gives us a better feel of the place. It gives us a better atmosphere of the place. And some of the equipment that we use, we can only use it in the dark as well.
Yep.
So that's why we do it in the dark. But other people might get good results filming in the light as well. But I guess it comes down to personal preference. But I believe for us, filming in the dark works better for us as a team.
All right. So just a quick question. I think Wods has got a question for you regarding about orbs, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah.
You're sort of asking what your
opinion of orbs are. Brad quite clearly last week gave his opinion.
And bluntly.
Bluntly. What's your opinion of orbs and things like that?
I think 95% of orbs are dust.
Yep.
A lot of people ask me that what are orbs and what are they made up of and that sort of stuff. And a lot of people go out and take a snap and have these orbs show up in the photograph and run back going, oh look, I've got an orb. It's it's something paranormal. But 95% of the time it's just dust refracting or reflecting off the light. And especially if you go into an old location that has a lot of dust in there, you're going to get these orbs appearing on your still photography. So having said that, there is 5% of pictures and video that are taken that most definitely not dust. We were filming in a place called Studley Park in Camden, which is one of the most haunted places that we've been, actually. It really is. It's got an extensive history. The place is 130 years old. And if you have a look at the place and, you've never seen a haunted house before, when you look at this place, it's just the epitome of a haunted house. But we were filming in there and we got probably one of the best orb video shots that I've ever seen and that we've ever gotten. In the hallway on the second floor of that place, Dom was filming me from behind. There was no wind whatsoever. All the windows were shut. There was no dust floating around. And as I'm walking down the hallway, you clearly see this ball of light come from the left-hand side of me and make a U-turn around me, so like a 90-degree turn, and then float down the hallway and go through the wall. And as it goes through the wall, it actually lights up the window. So that's one of those 5%. One of those 5% areas that you have to put it down to something.
Do you think that because there's two different terminologies, I guess, with the orbs? Some people call them a ball, I'm just going to stutter this. Joys of being on radio and having a stutter. So you've got what's called a ghost ball, and you've also got an orb. Now, you know what a ghost ball is, right? A ghost ball is something that actually produces a certain amount of light and actually has a bit of intelligence about it. Do you think it was more that along those lines, Rob, or do you think it was just an orb that actually could have been something more spiritual?
I think that this was when it goes around me, it looks like it makes an intelligent decision to actually go around my body instead of going through me, or if it was dust, it would just float up and just fade away. But the corridor that I was in was a good 10 metres, 10 metres long, going back towards where the orb was going. And when it goes around me, it makes a 90-degree turn as soon as it gets around me. And the interesting thing is, when it did go around, I felt a little gust of wind go past me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it makes me turn around at the same time. And the interesting thing is, you can track it going all the way down the hallway after it goes past me, and then you actually see it go through the wall. And then as it goes through the wall, it lights up the window.
It actually lights up the window itself. So it's producing enough light to actually, produce light. Well, that's incredible. Now, are we actually going to see any of this in upcoming episodes there, Rob? Because everyone's dying to know. Yeah, I know you're in the filming process still, and I've got to ask, mate, I'm terribly sorry, but as your mate, I need to know, are we looking at Ghost Crew coming out to the small screen anytime soon?
That's a question that I actually get asked a lot, and people are very curious as to what is going to be happening with it.
Because you're doing a lot of filming, and I've seen some of the work, and it's brilliant. I must say, it's absolutely brilliant, and I love watching it. And I'm just as much a fan as anybody, and I'd like to know, when I sit back in my big recliner and I put on my
fluffy slippers,
and my
cocoa,
and my big jumper, my snuggie, whatever they call it. I'd like to know that good old Ghost Crew are going to be on the main shoot, mate. So I know you can't give away too much,
but you can tell us because.
Yeah, no one else listens to the radio, so
it's only us
fine.
two.
Yeah, it's only us, dude. So it's strict confidence.
Yeah.
But if you can give us some idea, just for your fans and the listeners, and also the audience members of Naked Zombie here, that would be wonderful. Sorry to put you on the spot.
It's definitely probably the second most question we get asked. Actually, apart from a lot of it's the orb question, but the second most question we get asked. Originally, we intended on producing a documentary.
Yep.
So when we started this thing, it was going to be a documentary that ran for about an hour and a half, and all the footage that we got was going to be compiled into that, and set out as a fully blown documentary. During the course of the filming and everything else that we've been doing, it looks like it could still be a documentary, but it looks like it may also become a TV series before the documentary is released, or just after the documentary is released. So I can't really give too much away, but
no, that's understandable. Look, mate, we'll be asked the tough questions here.
So it'll be sometime in the future, maybe.
I'm sorry?
Sometime in the future, maybe.
When it all comes together in that.
Definitely sometime in the future. I mean, like I said, the original plan is for the documentary, and to get everything in the documentary and all the best stuff that we've got in the documentary. The original plan was to get something to show people in this country that we have some of the, some great haunted locations, and also to show some of these people that are sceptical that don't close your mind off to it, because this sort of stuff does exist. And we're still pushing forward with the filming and with everything else, but we're going to be putting out a documentary for sure. And whether the TV thing happens before the documentary is complete or just after the documentary is complete, remains to be seen. But we do talk to different networks, and we do have a few things going on. But as soon as I have something firm and something concrete to tell people, that's when I'll be releasing.
Oh well, I hope you let us know, mate, so we can announce it for you, as well. Yeah. We nudge.
First time, yeah. We want exclusive.
Real exclusives on that. Hey, just a question, mate, quickly. Now, what has been your most? I mean, people want to know this. What has been your most scariest experience investigating the paranormal? Has there been one particular event?
That was underpant changing.
Yeah, underpant changing. We call it the brown pant syndrome. Is there anything like that caused you to go, that's not right, this isn't good? Is there anything like that ever happened to you guys?
It happens all the time. I think there's a lot of people, for people out there that don't really know, there's a distinction between ghosts and something that's a little bit darker than normal ghosts and normal spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, you can call it demons, or you can call it whatever you want.
Yep.
But there's something there that's it's a separate line between this, probably one of the instances we were filming it in Windsor at a location there, and this place we really didn't have that much history on it.
This is Windsor, Victoria.
Sorry.
Windsor is where, Victoria?
No, Windsor's in New South Wales.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, but we really didn't have that much history in this place, and it was recommended to us by one of the people that run a ghost tour around the area. So we thought, we'll go in there and film for the night and see what we get. Just because we're in the area anyway, filming in a separate location. So we made it a 2-night shoot instead of a 1. But we went into this place, and I used the ghost box quite a lot on our investigations.
Would you like to tell what people are who don't know what the ghost box is? I mean, we know it as the Frank's box or the shack hack. What you want to explain to people, and this is all part of it, the people who don't know what it is. Can you explain what the ghost box is, please, mate?
Yeah, the ghost box is an AM/FM radio receiver. The same as any other radio that you can buy from the shops, but it's modified so it scans through the radio frequencies at a very fast rate, every eighth or something of a second or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And what it's designed to do is pick up on white noise. So when you're speaking or when you're asking questions with this thing on, you'd be able to get responses through white noise from any spirits or any ghosts or anything else that's there. We have a lot of success with it, and it's probably one of the more important items that we use on our investigations. And like the shack hack or the Frank's box, or there's a lot of them that you can get off the net and from the United States in particular. But they're a very good piece of equipment. They're pretty inexpensive, and a lot of people can just jump online or on any of these ghost hunting sites and just order one. And you can get some good results if you know how to use it properly.
Mm-hmm.
We were using it in this location at Windsor in the basement, and we came across something. I was asking a few questions with this with the ghost box or the spirit box, and we're getting some intelligent answers to the questions that we were asking. And
what sort of questions do you ask?
Well, we ask, if we have some information about the location or about people that have passed away there or died there, we sort of, trigger their names. We ask their names or anything that can trigger a response. Any emotional contact or content, that's involved with the location, the way that these people died, any traumatic circumstances, anything from that period of history that these people lived in. That's what we use for trigger responses and that. So we were in this place at Windsor, and we didn't know too much about the location. So it's just basically saying, if anyone's here that wants to talk to me, you can talk to me now. All three of us are here. We'd like to hear what you've got to say. And we started getting some responses and that sort of stuff. And for the people also that I've just explained how the ghost box works and what it is, the chances of getting a constructed sentence through the ghost box, like a constructed sentence of 4 or 5 words, are pretty remote, because this thing's scanning the radio frequencies that fast that to make a fully constructed sentence would be pretty remote. So anyway, we were scanning, talking. I was asking questions, trying to get some responses, and I think I believe that we came across something which is called demonic mimicking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've heard about that, Brad, or...
Oh, actually, I have. Would you like to explain to the audience what it is?
Yeah, well, basically, it's something, if I ask a question and say, would you like us to leave, would you like us being here, it mimics what you say, but the way that it comes across is a lot darker than the way that you say it.
So it's sort of like heavier, growly sort of effect. And it's
pretty
very
much.
sort of telling you what to do, basically, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
It sort of mocks you. And anyway, I was saying, do you want us to leave? And Josh was filming me, Dom was filming me, and the ghost box has mimicked what I said word for word. Do you want us to leave? And I haven't heard it the first time because I was phased out. I wasn't. I was in a world of my own. But then Josh has gone, did you just hear what it said? It copied you word for word. And then I've said it again. I said, do you want us to leave? And then within the space of about 5 seconds, 3 different voices have come across the ghost box. Do you want us to leave? Do you want us to leave? Do you want us to leave? So that was probably one of the clearest ones that we've gotten. And
And you find that you use the ghost box on every investigation, or there's a time and place you prefer to use it or not use it, if you know what I mean? Like, I like using the eye obelisk occasionally. Like, it's a bit of fun. We've had some weird events happen with that, but I've also used the ghost box, and I know there are times where it's just not suitable for the location. Do you find that as well? Or do you find it's pretty much right, you can use it wherever?
Yeah, well, we tend to use it 90% of the time in the places that we go to. Sometimes it's not suitable for use. 90% of the time we'll use it.
Yep.
Just mainly because we tend to get a lot of good evidence from it, and we get a lot of stuff happening from it. I think a lot of people are curious as to, the ghost box itself tends to, sort of a funny way to say it, but it tends to have someone, it tends to sort of hook onto someone. I know that Josh and Don can pick up the ones that I use, and they don't get the same responses that I get.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I pick it up and start using it, I'll get responses from it. So it sort of, I don't know, it sort of attaches itself to you in a way, I guess. It's sort of a funny way to look at it, but it does have some sort of connection there.
Do you find, with speaking about the sort of demonic side of it, and you investigate a lot of places, Rob, do you find that there are certain locations around Australia that do have this problem with the demonic as an investigation, or do you find a lot of it is just overactive imaginations? Yeah, they find there may be paranormal experiences there, if you know what I mean, or do you think some of these places actually could be showing true signs of that, of the demonic?
Yeah, I'd say very, very few places that we've gone to show, true signs of demonic activity. I can think of only 2 or 3 off the top of my head that we filmed that do.
Yep.
Most of them that we've gone to just have the usual paranormal type stuff happening, but occasionally, every now and then, you'll go to one of these places, and there'll be a bit of a darker energy or a more sinister thing happening there that tends to lend itself more to the demonic side of things than just to your regular haunting or regular paranormal activity. Like I said, two or three of the locations we've gone to have had this happen. The one location that had happened, another location actually that happened apart from this one at Windsor was Studley Park House at Camden. Josh actually got scratched at that location, and it was 3 scratches on his arm, which is indicative of something demonic happening. The three going on there.
So they actually start to bleed? Do they break the skin, or it's just the welts?
Yeah, no, it's sort of like when you have a look, it's on one of the promos. If you have a look at it,
All right. Yes,
it
please
kind
plug it away now again, quick. We've got about another 12, 15 minutes left, mate. Give us that website again, please. Plug that website again.
Yeah, that's www.ghostcrew.com.au.
With the
so
AU.
With the AU. Yep, because I keep getting in trouble because I'm just .com. And poor Wodgy just can't work that out, I don't know what's going on with this one.
I always knew you were abnormal.
Stop it, I'm still putting you on your backside. Anyway.
Can I just ask a quick question out of left field? You mentioned earlier about people getting more informed about paranormal and ghosts and things like that. And there's been heaps of movies done by Hollywood and everyone else with good, bad, and indifferent ghosts and paranormal stuff. Do you think that has helped, or has it hindered the awareness of paranormal?
I think that the stuff like Paranormal Activity and those sort of movies that come out from Hollywood, I think they're actually beneficial because a lot of people look at it and go, oh, wow, this stuff is really scary. It's pretty full on, and I think that it actually helps the paranormal industry because people look at that and they think to themselves, well, I'd like to go to a place, that's haunted. I'd like to, see if something can happen to me, or, everyone likes something scary. It doesn't matter who you are. The thrill of going through a haunted location or a haunted house, appeals to a lot of people. You do have some people that just don't want to do it, but 90% of people that you come across, you mention to them, would you like to go and
Yeah, well, when we found out it was just based on a police report, but none of it really happened that way. I mean, and this is the thing, though, isn't it? You're taking, look, what we do, as far as and everyone knows this, as far as it's got to be entertaining. At the end of the day, if it's not entertaining, doesn't matter what it is with the paranormal, people aren't going to watch it, are they? So it's got to be, you've got to keep it as real as possible, but also be entertaining, where different personalities work well or don't work well together.
That's right, yeah. It's got to be entertaining at the end of the day. I mean, if it's not entertaining, people aren't going to watch it.
Or listen to me yabber on for an hour. I mean, that's half of it too.
That's why I'm here to keep it sane.
Bite me, doughboy. But no, look, Rob, this is actually excellent, mate. Now, back to the demon side of it, and I find this very interesting. Yeah, I've been around for a long time, as you know, and I haven't come across that many demonic cases. What areas where have you found this actually happened? Can you give us some idea of where these demonic cases happened at, if you know what I mean? Are they more relevant in certain locations or certain environments, or if you know what I mean, it sort of throws backwards and forwards from each other?
I think that, from our experience, it tends to happen at locations that have, something, that have had something bad happen there, whether it's someone that's been murdered or, someone's committed suicide, or not just generally from someone that's passed away of natural circumstances. There might have been something that has happened in the past that, and I believe that, you've got sort of two types of hauntings. Obviously you've got a different, I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say here. You've got two different types of hauntings. You've got a residual haunting and you've got an active haunting.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the places that we go to have both. They've got residual and they've got active. The demonic stuff that we've come across has all happened at active locations, so an active haunting. But I think for things that have happened there in the past, we look for stuff where people have been murdered, or they've committed suicide, or there's been some sort of tragic circumstances happen there that's triggered these emotions. And I think that in these locations themselves, like in the houses or in the buildings, all this energy gets stored. It gets stored in the location. It gets stored where where this has happened. I'm
just a bit curious about that. Now, your opinion. I want to know what your opinion is of this. A lot of we know, like, if we pass away, if you're going to be a drop kick in life, you end up going to be one in death. If you know what I mean, your personality continues on, so to speak. Now, do you think that these entities or people who have passed on, they could be as nice as pie, they've moved on, but they get trapped at this location? Do you think after a period of time, like decades and decades, that their personality would change and they become more of the demonic side of it, or they just become really aggressive? Or do you think generally that would happen, or not, or they stay the same because there's no time? If you know what I mean, they don't see time as we do. What's your opinion on that, Rob?
I think that at these places, I think that if someone's passed away, I mean, I always, when people ask me about it, I say to them, look, it's like this. If you've put all your hard work and effort into building a house, it's everything that you've always wanted. This place is exactly what you're after. You put all your hard work and effort into it. It's your baby.
Mm-hmm.
So emotional attachment there. And I think that when you come across hauntings, a lot of these hauntings are in a location that has a lot of emotional energy. So the person that built the house may not feel that they'd be able to move on because they've got some sort of emotional contact or emotional attachment to the house itself. I don't believe, I'm not an expert in the field, but I don't believe that when a ghost has been here for a certain amount of time, it sort of, if it was a nice person in life, he turns bad, after however many years he's been haunting this location or this place. I think that, like you said, if you're not a nice person in life, when you pass away, obviously you're going to remain the same. So, if you've got a serial killer that's passed away, obviously he's not going to be a nice person after he's passed away.
No, definitely not.
I think that with hauntings, a lot of it has to do with emotional contact and emotional content and activity, and I think a lot of it is centralised around buildings and around locations like like that. Hospitals in particular,
Yep.
there's a lot of emotional energy that happen in those places. People pass away in traumatic circumstances all the time, and hospitals are one of the most haunted places that you can go to.
Do you find with the hospitals and that, just get on that quickly, do you find like the hospitals, the mental asylums, anywhere where there has been that sort of energy over many, many years, and we've heard some horror stories of abuse in places like this, and it doesn't matter if it's here or overseas, in these really old rundown places that just should be condemned. Do you find that the energy just builds up and builds up and builds up and actually turns that way?
Yeah, definitely. We've investigated Beechworth Lunatic Asylum in Victoria quite a few times, and that place is different to any of the other places that you go to because you're dealing with ghosts of people that weren't 100% right in the head in life, and when you're dealing with that sort of energy, it's very unpredictable, and it's definitely one of the darker places and one of the darker locations that we've filmed at. Any of these old mental hospitals that you go to when you film at, and there's a lot of people that go on. There's a tour that's run down there, and there's a lot of people that go on the tour, and you have people fainting left, right, and centre when they go into one place on that tour in particular. The tour guide has people passing out all the time.
So they actually have people passing out in this. Is it just a one location within this lunatic asylum, or is it just one spot?
Just one of the buildings, it's when we go and film in there. The last time we were in there, we were filming. We had a moaning noise, constant all the time. We were filming in this place for about 3 or 4 hours, and it was like someone was in agony, and it was going on the whole time that we were inside the place. But yeah, definitely that place there in particular is very dark energy to it, and they have people passing out on tours on a regular basis, and they run tours there 3 or 4 times of the week, and just about every tour someone faints.
Well, but that's pretty incredible, isn't it? See, these are stories that not many people would hear about, if you know what I mean. This is why we love having the radio show and talking to people like yourself within the field that have the hands-on experience. Look, mate, we've got about 7 minutes remaining tonight. Is there any other stories that you think that within your field and within Ghost Crew? And look, I must say, I say this a lot, I really enjoy watching it because you guys have a lot of energy. You are very professional in the way you conduct yourselves, and they're very, very good to watch. Is there any particular place that just shone for you as far as activity-wise? I saw one section where one of the boys was riding a skateboard down a hallway, which I thought was just... if I was on a skateboard again, I'd fall off. All you see is me spread eagle all over the concrete slab.
Every time I look at that piece of footage, Brad, it gives me chills, not just because of the skateboard going down the corridor, but because of the expense of the camera.
I was thinking of that too. I'm going, oh no, don't drop it. But see, this is what I mean. You guys have given Australia something else as far as the paranormal, and my view is I don't care if you're a big group or a small group. Everyone contributes in their own way. And I must congratulate you, and so does Wadsy on that. Congratulate the man, Wadsy.
I do. Congratulations.
Yep.
I'm just looking at your website now, actually.
Yep. So we, as we talk, we check things out and put stuff out there. So was there any particular location? And look, we've got about 6 minutes ago, mate, before we wrap it up tonight, that just shone for you as a place that you just was the duck's nuts of the paranormal for you to investigate. Sorry, this is.
There's two. There's two. Not necessarily a place, but there's two instances. Or there's one place, one instance.
Yep.
The place that really shines for me is Studley Park House. That is one of the most haunted places in the country for sure. We've investigated quite a few places and we've filmed quite a few places, but Studley Park House, Monte Cristo Homestead is billed as one of the most haunted. Is billed as the most haunted house in the country and one of the most haunted private residences in the world. But Studley Park, I think, is right up there, and I think it, in some respects, surpasses it. It's just, you go in there, the atmosphere of the place. Every time we've been in there filming, we've had something happen. It really is a great place to film. In terms of aesthetically, the place is a typical haunted house. You look at it, it's like the Addams Family house.
Oh, okay, excellent. I like that.
Yeah, it really is. It's got a basement. The basement, you go down about 16 flights of stairs into the basement. It's like a dungeon.
Really?
There's corridors going left, right, and centre. There's little secret rooms. The place is just amazing.
Do you find, just very, very quickly, sorry to cut you off, mate, but do you just find quickly when you have people who approach you to do certain locations, do you get other paranormal groups in to go and check it out as well if you can't make it?
Yeah, when we go, we do get approached for different places and locations to film at. We've got a pretty tight schedule, so we don't really palm them off onto other investigation teams. But if people want to investigate those locations, they're more than welcome to.
Yep.
The other thing that I was thinking of in terms of something that's happened, we filmed at Maitland Jail in New South Wales, which was a maximum security prison. It was only shut down in 1998, I think it was.
Yep.
And it housed people like Ivan Milat, all of our most famous criminals, Eddie Smith, all these people
Yep.
were housed there. We were filming in there. There was a drug dealer that was given a 25-year sentence that hung himself in one of the cells in the maximum security ward, the maximum security section of that prison.
Yep.
We got an EVP recording in that area, and the EVP that we got, I was asking questions. Josh hadn't even pressed record, and this digital voice recorder just started playing by itself. And the thing that we got was, I said, George, if you're still here, can you give some sort of sign? Can you let us know that you're still here? This digital voice recorder started playing by itself and said, yeah, I can hear you, I'm here.
Oh, jeez.
And
Brilliant.
the interesting thing about it is, we played it back to one of the prison officers that used to work there, and he said, where did you get the recording from? And I said, well, it was taken on our investigation. He goes, well, that's the voice of the guy that hung himself. And, for me, that sort of evidence, that sort of stuff is really fantastic. That's what we go out to get.
Well, mate, I must say that was absolutely magic. Mate, listen, we're going to have to wrap it up tonight now. We're coming to the end of the hour. But, just want to give the website one more plug tonight before we go.
Yeah, that's
where to go to?
www.ghostcrew.com.au.
Well, mate, I cannot thank you enough, and thank the boys for us as well. Like I said, folks, jump online, check out Ghost Crew. Great Australian group, great Australian site. They've got a lot of things happening, and thank you again, Rob, for joining me and Wadzi tonight. Great chat. Fantastic, mate.
No, that's all right. My pleasure, guys. No problem at all. And, Brad, I like following you on your stuff and the stuff that you do, and also Wadzi. Keep it up, guys, and, best of luck with everything that you guys do in the future.
Just remember, all hate mail goes to Brad.
Yeah, all hate mail goes to me, so that's fine. All right then, mate. Listen, you have a fantastic night, and no doubt we'll speak in the future. We'd love to get you on the show again soon. And thank you, everyone, for listening, and thank you again, Rob. And just on that note, quickly, if anyone wants to listen to future podcasts, or anyone has anyone they wish us to interview for near future, they just go to www.brad-scott.com.
No AU.
Oh, God.
I've done it again. I am fantastic.
Oh, jeez.
I'm consistent. Consistent.
Oh, the pain. Anyway, so if you jump on there, go to the contacts page, leave us any details of people you'd like us to interview. Get in touch with us. Forward it on. We'd love to hear from you anyway.
Leave your own stories.
Yeah, leave your own stories. We want to hear it. So anyway, guys, like I said, have a fantastic night. Have a safe night. And happy investigating. And we'll see you all next week.